Pakistan just signed a $5 billion crypto deal with Donald Trump's family. And if you understand the ramifications of what this deal means, then you'll see that there is hyperinflation coming to the United States of America very, very soon. And in this video, I'm going to tell you guys all about it. Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry, where we help you navigate your life by predicting world events, life cycles, and finances. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video, we're going to have a look at this crypto deal that Donald Trump just signed and what it actually means for the world and for the United States of America. But first, let's just do a very quick history lesson on Pakistan. In early September of 2001, the Pakistani intelligence agency sent $100,000 to this guy, Muhammad Atta. He was the lead hijacker in the September 11 attacks, and he used that money to purchase the tickets that launched those attacks. Immediately afterwards, the United States went to war with Afghanistan because they were harboring Al-Qaeda. For some reason, they didn't go to war with Pakistan though. Instead, they sent $33 billion to Pakistan in order to help them find Osama bin Laden and weed out Al-Qaeda. Somehow, mysteriously, $25 billion ended up in the pockets of the leading politicians of Pakistan and their senior generals. And at around about this time, the children of those Pakistani politicians and generals started migrating to countries like the United States, to England and Australia and so on, and started running their families' business empires from these places. Heroin use began to skyrocket in the US at this time. And a few years later, Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan, although the leading politicians and generals of Pakistan, the guys who made billions of dollars in trying to not find him or find him, they had no idea he was under their nose all along. And so America stopped sending money to Pakistan, at which point they pivoted towards China. China, at around about this time, started committing genocide on the Muslim Uyghurs of their country, whilst Pakistan remained silent about that. More recently, China has got fed up with Pakistan not being able to repay its loans, and so they stopped sending money to Pakistan, as a result of which the Pakistani economy fell into the gutter and they needed a $3 billion bailout. They eventually were going to get one from the IMF, but at the last minute, the IMF said no to this loan. Very shortly after that, Pakistan launched a terrorist attack in India. And lo and behold, the IMF decided to grant this loan on humanitarian grounds. But instead of using that money to feed the hungry and desperate in their country, Pakistan immediately boosted their defense budget, meaning a big chunk of that IMF loan is going to end up in the pockets of more Pakistani elite. Eventually though, India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire. For some reason, Donald Trump tried to take credit for this ceasefire. The Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, came out and said Donald Trump didn't actually have anything to do with this. Trump got very angry with Modi, and at around about the same time, Pakistan recommended Donald Trump for the Nobel Prize. Very shortly after that, Donald Trump decided to put tariffs on India on the basis that they were importing oil from Russia. That gets us back to the headlines at the moment that a few months ago, when all this US pivot away from India towards Pakistan happened, the Pakistanis signed a $5 billion crypto deal with Donald Trump's family. Remember, Pakistan needed a $3 billion bailout, and yet somehow they've got $5 billion to give in crypto to Trump's family. So the question then is, what is going to happen now? You see, India is a part of the BRICS. And in fact, the I in BRICS stands for India, the R in BRICS stands for Russia, and the C in BRICS stands for China. Over the past decade or so, Russia and China are trying to de-dollarize. What that means is they no longer want to use the US dollar as the reserve currency in which they trade. If Russia, for example, wants to sell oil to China, it used to be that they could only do it using US dollars. So you'd sell rubles, buy US dollars, send it to China, and the Chinese would have to pay a fee to transfer that or to change it into their own local currency. This whole time, India's been the one country in BRICS that's been saying, let's not do that, let's keep using the US dollar. But now India has tariffs on it, and they're starting to pivot away from the US. They're getting closer and closer to Russia and China in terms of de-dollarizing. Now keep in mind, between India's population and China's population, you've got 2.8 billion out of 8 billion people on the planet. And very soon, this large chunk of humanity will stop using the US dollar in all of its transactions, which means America is on a very slippery path to losing US dollar reserve status. And I want you guys to have a look at the chart of the gold price ever since this crypto deal was announced. This means that other countries, mostly China and India, are getting away from the US dollar and heading down the path of an alternate currency. This gets us to what will happen next. You see, in the years to come, we're going to see a lot of the BRICS nations sell down their treasuries. It's already been happening for a number of years now, especially with China, but it's going to accelerate. Keep in mind, for the US dollar to have reserve status, there's two important pillars here. There's the US Treasury market, which is basically bonds or US dollar debt. Then there's the petrodollar. And I'll come back and talk about the petrodollar in just a sec. But once other countries start buying US debt, that's half of the foundation of the US dollar reserve status gone. And so if other countries stop buying US treasuries, that means the US will have to print the balance or buy their own bonds. In the background, you're going to notice the BRICS and the US make separate announcements on their gold holdings. Keeping in mind, a quarter of all the world's gold is owned by Indian households. And China, it's rumored, has a very similar amount within their borders as well. So together, that's nearly 50% of the world's gold. And I believe these two countries and the people within those countries are buying so much of it now, which is why the price of gold is going up so much now. And it's just going to continue. Then we're also going to see Saudi Arabia and or Russia to openly start selling their oil in non-US dollar currency, which will force the US to give major tax breaks to everybody, from private citizens to companies, just to use the US dollar. And this can only happen through money printing, which means there's very big inflation, eventually leading into hyperinflation. Keep in mind though, whilst all this process is happening, AI will keep on developing, which means more and more people will lose their jobs. And so jobs are going down, which means a depression is coming, whilst money printing is happening at a manic rate. So that's why I'm thinking there's a hyperinflationary depression around the corner. Now this is a screenshot I've put out in one of my previous videos where I'm predicting a big market crash taking place in October of next year. That's the date I've got when the proverbial starts to hit the fan. A lot of the events I've talked about in this video I believe will be happening over the next 12 months. And then it's going to get really bad into 2027. In other words, we are very close to the point of no return. And I believe that over the next 12 months, we're going to hit that tipping point. There's going to be a disaster. In a couple months, I'm going to put out a new video on how to prepare for this disaster and how to make the most out of what could be a very dangerous time. So if you haven't subscribed already, guys, do so now, and I'll see you later. Thanks a lot.